I truly believe that was a game between the best two teams in the Western Conference. Avs lose to the Vegas Golden Knights 4-3 in overtime.
Here's MacKinnon! Score!
It was greasy, it was sloppy, it was gritty for the Avalanche in this game, despite many times it coming within just a few millimeters of being beautiful. The Avs had to grind their way through this one. Certainly not their A game, and they still went toe-to-toe with Vegas. First of all, let me get my arm workout in because the Avs hit 5 posts in this game. Now, a couple of those ultimately ended up resulting in goals, but that is an absurd amount. And Vegas even added one of their own as well, which also eventually resulted in a goal. So, kind of weird posts in this one, and a whole bunch of them. The reffing was kind of weird in this game. I thought it was called a little soft, but I don't really have problems with games being called soft. Where I take issue is calls that are just straight out incorrect, and then inconsistency. And they got a little bit of everything in this one. It was all over the board. Not great. Not going to harp on it or anything, but just know that it was there. The first period was actually a lot slower than I was expecting, especially the first half of it. I think through 10 minutes, shots were just 4-3 in the Avs' favor. For two teams that like to open it up quite a bit, there were just not a lot of chances. Vegas was bringing that classic heavy forechecking style that they love to play, and honestly, the Avs struggled with it at times. They figured it out, certainly, throughout the game, but there were still constant pressure, and the Avs always had to keep up, it felt like. Things picked up in the second half of the first, though, and the Avs took over a bit, outshooting Vegas 10-5 in the period. That was helped along by Vegas taking 2 penalties, giving the Avs a minute and 30 seconds of 5-on-3 time late in the first. Unfortunately, the Avs couldn't come up with a goal, but that's not to say it was a bad power play. They had a couple of good opportunities, including a grade A one from Rantanen that was this close to going in. If not for ticking the post and an incredible glove save by Leonard, the Avs would have been up 1-0. Despite the low-event hockey, it still felt like this game had pace, though, and the first flew by pretty quickly. Outside of the penalty whistles, there really weren't very many in the first period, and before you knew it, it was 0-0 after 1. And then the second period was abrupt chaos. 30 seconds in, the Avs throw it into the Vegas zone. It's not exactly clear if MacKinnon tipped it or not, or if he just beat the rush to negate the icing. But either way, MacKinnon was very unhappy with an icing call that the refs ultimately corrected and put the faceoff at center ice. So they admitted they were wrong on calling it icing. MacKinnon then went to the bench and apparently kept jawing at the refs while on the bench. It's not on film, but he ended up getting 2 minutes for unsportsmanlike conduct. I appreciate the fire from MacKinnon, but this is a good lesson to learn in the round robin. MacKinnon takes a penalty like that in a potential elimination game in the playoffs. That's a real bad look. And, I mean, a little part of me is like, yeah, but the refs actually got the call wrong in the first place, but I don't know. Just don't yell too much at the refs, okay? It's not worth it. So it's a weird penalty, but it results in a not-so-weird power play goal for Vegas. Vegas created a puck battle in the corner with about a minute left on the power play that the Avs ultimately lose out on here before Vegas sends it back to the point. And this is just a goal that there's not a ton you can do about. The Avs were down in deep. Maybe in a perfect world, the forwards are out a little bit higher to force the play a little bit here and force a worse shot. But the shot is going to come through directly between the two forwards. In a perfect world, again, Ryan Graves is going to tie up his man and tie up the stick of Marchessault here on the sort of backdoor post side. But the shot just gets blasted. It's missing the net wide and just happens to hit Marchessault's stick, and into the net it goes. Not a ton anyone can do about that. Just kind of feels weird. A power play goal is going to happen. You're okay with that. But to take a funky penalty and then get burned by it, not great for the Avs. Certainly not great for MacKinnon, but if you know Mac, you know he wasn't going to be happy about that and would find a way to get a little bit of redemption. He would have to get down into some raw sewage and get nice and dirty to find it, but he would eventually get it done about 4 minutes later. The Avs are on a power play of their own here, doing their thing, working it around on the perimeter. It eventually gets worked over to Mikko. Mikko holds, waits patiently, and eventually opts to go back to Cale Makar. This is the exact same play Cale Makar scored on against Dallas. He even tees up the one-timer here. A little bit more of a set play instead of Landeskog flipping it to him. But nonetheless, another fantastic one-timer from Makar here. Gets to the net clean, even beats Leonard clean, but ricochets it off of the crossbar. Just can't buy one. The puck knocked up in the air, but stays in play, and it comes down to Rantanen in front of the net, and all of a sudden we just get mass chaos. Bodies flying everywhere, everyone scrambling, trying to find the puck. It stays loose. Kadri is the one who picks it up with his eyes, just able to get a stick on it, probably trying to just get it to his forehand here, but it ends up being a fantastic pass to a creeping in Nathan MacKinnon out of that far side circle. Puck gets slapped at here, and yet, even with William Karlsson knocking this puck, a great reaction time from Nathan MacKinnon to, one, get this puck on his stick, despite that, curl to defend it from anyone closing on him, spin and get this shot off, and still manage to beat Robin Lehner, who had yet to recover. Check this out, though. Even with all his hard work and great play from the Avs, Lehner almost makes the stick save anyway. If he makes that one, you just pack it in and say, well, it's not your night. So the Avs get the equalizer, and honestly, the second period, it just got stranger from there. Weird things just continued to happen, whether it be Ryan Reeves holding Sam Girard down and punching him in the head repeatedly, and then being surprised that he took a penalty, or just completely strange situations where goalies are all over the place, players are all over the place. Eventually something's going to break down in weird hockey like that, and the Avs give up their second goal to Vegas. This one gets wild. Vegas makes a nice pass down deep to a cutting Nicholas Waugh that completely discombobulates the Avs defense as he cuts through the middle. The collapse kind of comes through, but a rebound comes out and no Avs are in position to grab it, allowing Vegas to maintain possession and forcing Grubauer to slide significantly out of his crease. You can see he's fully out of it here. Did he overslide? Yeah, I think he did, but not by an insane amount. So Vegas maintains possession in behind the net. They throw it up out front. There's just, this is insane chaos. From this angle, you can't even tell. There's 4 Avalanche players within 2 feet of the crease, 3 of them inside the crease. There's a Vegas player back there. There's Grubauer over here. This is just complete madness. Avs can't clear it. Another rebound comes out. It gets flipped in towards the net and eventually just trickles in on the 3rd attempt from Waugh. So here's the thing. Did the Avs defense play this horribly? Yes, but I think there's a little more to the play than that. As Grubauer makes the initial save and slides across, again, he definitely overslides and plays this pretty terribly, puts himself in a really bad spot. Fully aware of that, fully willing to admit it. But as the play develops, the puck continues to rattle around out front. Grubauer's fully up here, and he's trying to recover and get back into his net. Minor problem, there's 3 dudes in front of him here. And here's where I have 2 problems. First, Carrier is sitting clearly in the crease and makes 0 attempt to get out of Grubauer's way. That's how the law of the rule is written. He has to make an attempt, his best effort, to get out of the goaltender's way. He absolutely could have made more effort than he does, even with the blockages from the 2 Avs players there as well. So because he doesn't move out of the way at all, Grubauer's not able to get back into his crease. He's not able to even get across, you can see. With Carrier in his way, he just tries to get over, can't push him, can't do the full splits and cover off that side of the net because he wasn't allowed to. He was not given the room. Carrier eventually kind of rolls out of position, and this is where the goalie interference gets a little bit murky. Because the question is, does Grubauer have time to recover from the contact with Carrier? In my opinion, the answer to that is no. Grubauer has no chance to go from the position where he ultimately had to do the full splits and somewhat got knocked down by Carrier without being able to cover the far side of the net where the puck was, and the puck ends up going in because he couldn't get across. Is that goaltender interference? I think it is. I don't know why you have a crease on a hockey ice if it's not. It doesn't make any sense because the dude just rolled up in there and stood there. And the other side of that is you're going to make the argument, oh, Carrier couldn't gotten out of the way because the Avs players were blocking him. What are the Avs defenders supposed to do if a Vegas Golden Knight just rolls right up into the crease? Are they supposed to just let him stand there alone? No, that's not going to fly. So I thought it was pretty sloppy. I thought it was goaltender interference. It was not called that on the ice, and the Avs ultimately opted not to challenge. If it were me, I would have challenged. We'll leave it at that. I understand why you wouldn't want to risk it, because that certainly could have come back as not goalie interference. And then you're on the penalty kill and down one. It's a rough spot, but come on. He was standing in the crease. But the hockey gods knew there was something karmically wrong with that goal, and it took less than 2 minutes for the Avs to get it back. Avs third line just putting in work here. Burakovsky's going to chip it up ahead through the defense and go and track it down himself to get the puck deeper in the zone. And then it's just all about work. Donskoy goes in. Burakovsky comes in and helps. They create a battle, cause havoc down there with Comfort waiting out in front of the net. They're eventually able to just kind of poke it out there. Comfort, instead of pulling the trigger immediately, don't know if he recognizes it or just goes for it, but he has enough room, decides to drag it across to the far side of the ice before pulling the trigger. Gets Leonard to commit fully. Leonard gets the leg out and makes the initial save, but he's created an opportunity here. Donskoy recognizes it, sneaks in towards that back post, and off of the rebound just shows up. Johnny on the spot, tapped it. You can see it's already entering the net. Vegas just got outworked. Those are the goals you'd love to see, especially in a game where Vegas was putting so much pressure on the Avs, trying to outwork them on the forecheck. All right, when you get it in deep, go out and beat them there. And again, the Avs are keeping up with Vegas. They have 2 dirty goals. The Stars really haven't broken out in the way you want them to, which is kind of an iffy subject. I do think both MacKinnon and Rantanen specifically are extremely close to just blowing up and having an insanely huge game and just rolling through these playoffs, but they're not there yet. They're on the precipice, and their depth is doing enough to keep them in games and overcome pretty much any opponent but some of the best in the league. And with the scales balanced, the tie remains the same, 2-2 after 2. Third period to win the first seed in the West. The third period was far and away the Avs' worst in the game. It seemed like Vegas managed to wear them down with the aggressive forecheck. The Avs were battling on the breakout all game long, but it just got worse in the third period, as Vegas just did not relent. They made sure the Avs felt them on nearly every single play when they touched the puck, and the Avs came out in the third like they did not want to be here. They did not want to play against that style of play. That frustration builds a little bit, and all of a sudden you get one massive defensive mistake, and the Avs are trailing again. So here's a play where the Avs have gained the offensive zone, but they struggle to possess the puck there. Vegas just directly on top of them and eventually forces them to lose a battle along the boards, and Vegas gets set up on their breakout. Now, it's not going to be on camera here, but a massive defensive breakdown is happening behind this play. Vegas is going to go for the stretch pass, and once it arrives at its destination, you can see the issue. Jonathan Marchessault has snuck in behind Ryan Graves and Eric Johnson and whoever this is that just came off the bench. This just cannot happen. Cannot be allowed to happen in any period, ideally, but certainly not in a 2-2 game in the third period where you're playing for the number 1 seed. Just cannot get beat like this, especially by someone who is on the other team's top line, one of their best scorers. Graves is not a good enough skater to make up for this, to come back from being behind. That's more than a step. He's more than a full step behind here, Marchessault. So Marchessault, even though he has to turn around, is just gone here. Graves opts to go for the layout play and just ends up tripping him, which creates a penalty shot. The penalty shot itself, there's really not a lot to. Marchessault takes a slow, wide line, walks in, gets about to the slot, and then just rips a shot. Grubauer, I'm not going to say he played it perfect, but when a dude fires a shot off the bars and in, you just got to give credit where credit's due. Maybe don't give him the second chance opportunity and don't give him the penalty shot in the first place. I really did not think the Avs were going to come back after that third goal, especially the way the third period played out. Vegas just clogged everything up. The Avs rarely possessed the puck at all as Vegas just made their life miserable. Even on the power play, the Avs were struggling mightily to get across the blue line. It was slog hockey, and the Avs honestly looked a lot rustier in this game than they did against Dallas, which, of course, is partly playing a better opponent, but the passing and the panic when Vegas closed in on them was pretty evident. Despite all that, it's still just a one-goal game, and the Avs didn't quit on it. They kept pushing, they kept trying to find something. It eventually gets down to goalie pull time, and somehow, some silly way, they get it done. This honestly might be the first time all period the Avs are properly set up in the offensive zone in the 6-on-5 situation. They're working it around the perimeter to start, but eventually they manage to get the puck down low. Kind of a shot pass there, but Rantanen able to pick up the rebound, able to control it, and this man is just a wizard at or below the goal line. Look at this stupid backhand sauce he puts on this to get this puck to Nazem Kadri. He just flips it over. Kadri fires it on, but it hits off of the post. This is the 5th post of the game for the Avs. You can't make this stuff up. It's just ridiculous. They could have scored 8 goals in this game. It banks off the post, drops straight down onto the ice. Compher has eyes on it, has the angle on it, is able to get the stick over the man defending him and just poke it. I mean, he barely gets anything on this, but it's enough, and this puck somehow trickles in. And all of a sudden, where by the eye test, you would say the Avs have played okay, not great, but they managed to keep up with Vegas. The score is tied to 3-3. The Avs have outshot them 34-23 in the game. While it didn't feel like it, the Avs actually had a lot of great chances. And that was Mikko's 4th assist of the round robin, by the way. For a guy who's been pretty quiet, he's just the magic man. He finds ways to get points, even when he's not bringing his A game. And so, the Avs squeak into overtime in this one, which presents major problems. One, this overtime means absolutely nothing. The winner of this game gets the 1 seed, the loser gets the 2 seed, period, end of story. And 2, because it's the round robin, the NHL has decided it's 3-on-3 overtime followed by a shootout, not proper 5-on-5 overtime, which, by the way, I think that's stupid. But beyond the point, you'll be shocked to hear that the Avs struggled in 3-on-3 overtime. What a surprise. They did do it in a bit of a new way, though. Instead of just coughing the puck up and struggling to possess, they actually overpossessed the puck, never choosing to fire the shot. I believe their only shot on net came from a rush from Eric Johnson. The rest of the time, they just kind of passed the puck around and circled, and sure, they maybe never had the perfect chance, but eventually, you have to shoot the puck to score, and you have to score to win the game, Avs. Spending a minute and a half circling only to turn the puck over, that's not going to win you very much. Grubauer had a couple of nice saves early in the OT to keep the Avs going, but just the lack of generation from the Avs gets it down to the last 40-30 seconds of the overtime. The turnover comes in, and the Avs come up short. Avs have been circling the offensive zone for a minute with nothing to show for it. Gabe opts to try to go up the boards here, and all right, look, first of all, he loses the puck. This is a sloppy, weird, bad turnover by Gabe, but what are the Avs doing here? Girard backs off. He's the defender. He knows that this could be a turnover and he has to be back. But Nathan MacKinnon kind of just floats towards the puck. He doesn't engage Stone at all in any kind of puck battle. He's just standing next to Landeskog doing nothing. So when this puck squirts out, all of a sudden, as Vegas starts to head up the ice, MacKinnon is facing the wrong way and has no effect on this play. And it quickly turns into a 3-on-1 for Vegas. Landeskog does his best to hustle back, knowing he just turned this puck over, but it's still going to be a 2-on-1 cleanly for Vegas. Tuch just walks in, picks a corner. Decent defense, right? Girard doesn't let him get the pass across and even sees the shot coming and tries to get a stick in, but Tuch just fires. Grubauer can't stop it this time. And so the Avs lose to a team which you could consider a top 4 team in the league in a game in which they didn't really play great, and they still had a very real chance to win this game. A couple inches of difference, and they could have ran away from this game. The only worry that I'm taking even a little bit seriously out of this game is the Avs breakout needs to be focused on. They need to understand where they're going with the puck under pressure and how to help on the breakout. Other than that, the only thing this did was get me hyped for the conference finals. Fingers crossed that both of these teams are in it, because that would be an electric series. The Avs take the 2 seed and will face Arizona in round 1. To be honest, not a single opponent scares me for the Avs in round 1. That is the end of this game video review. Thank you for watching, and head on over to thednvr.com to check out all of our coverage, or if you like videos like these, you can always watch the DNVR Avalanche podcast as well. We're doing a live post-game show for every single Avs playoff game, so you can just tune in immediately after the game if you like. I am Rudo, and no team has ever gone 16-0 to win the Cup. Why would you think the Avs are going to go 19-0?